What's up, traders? TG Watkins here. It's September 12th. I'm recording this. Holy cow, do we have a weekend video for you guys. Have you seen what the market has been doing? If you feel like you've been missing out, then you definitely have, because this was a massive week for the market and for the Moxie room. Let me just show you this right away. This is what our week looked like, okay? We've been having a fantastic time out there. The market has just been going gangbusters, and it's about time, because we've been waiting for at least 6 weeks for something like this to happen. If you guys remember the last few videos, it's either been like, hey, market's still chopping, or, you know, don't have much to report because nothing's really moving, didn't really have much to show. Look at this. 203% we just cashed in some profits on IonQ with options, 115% on Tesla options, 40% on TSLL, which is leveraged ETF of Tesla, 40% on RCAT, which we've been waiting for that one for 2 months. We were just waiting for that thing, and it finally popped off. RCAT got the green light to sell to NATO. That's a huge situation. Look at the volume that came into that thing yesterday, and we're plus 30% on the stock. TEM, we're 181% on options on that. TEMT, the leverage ETF, we're up 41%. Grab finally breaking out. That one we've also been waiting for a long time too. We're up 54% on our leaps. RR, the robotics thing, we're doing great on that. 37%, bought more at the low. UNH, we have a leap debit spread. We're up 50% on that. And SLT, this is Solana, it's the leverage ETF. That 47% up on that one. And this is Rocket Lab, the leverage ETF, up 27% in 2 days on that one. And then BMNR, that's the Tom Lee thing for Ethereum, up 74% on the latest options that we put on. We do have a variety of positions on this one, but I just want to show you that that was the latest one that we put on, up 74% this week. Wow. Okay, so if you guys ever wanted to kind of get a feel for what's going on with the market, we've got that. Another thing that you can look at here, this was from today. I posted this morning, and this is just my general watch list. And today I sorted it by, biggest move. So you can see the biggest mover is down here. And look at this. We got like the top 5 or 6. IonQ, BKSY, Grab, Tesla, Rocket Lab. That's a good situation to be having today. And what this is all coming from is that, well, I can actually show you here, is because we have a cool CPI and a cool PPI. All right, the market was really worried about that. PPI came out, it was definitely cool. It was not what people were expecting, and then that pretty much locked and loaded CPI to be coming in, within expectations. It wasn't hot, it was normal, and the market's happy about this because the jobs keep looking worse, and so the idea of a rate cut is pretty much baked into the cake this coming Wednesday, the 17th, I think, for FOMC. Also, we can see that that's happening because TLT continues to move up, so TNX, the interest rates are coming down, and that's happening too. And I would say the market has finally rested. This is what we've been talking about for the last 6 weeks or so. And I think it's finally here because we're starting to get the SPX to break out along with a bunch of other things. I will show you them. Remember, guys, this is for educational purposes only. Remember to hit that like button and to subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. And of course, we're starting to get some really good conversations in the Moxie room. People are pretty happy, and TG stocks are going bonkers. I love seeing something like that. Ann was also talking about, besides the zero DTE plays, pay attention to TG's swing trades as well. His results are phenomenal based on what I have seen from his trades. Speaking of zero DTE, I think I had 6 zero DTE trades over the last week or two. One of them was loss. So 5 winners out of 6, 1 loser. I'd say that's pretty good ratio on that one. So I hope you guys are enjoying the zero DT as well. Sir Fisher, I have never had 8 leverage stocks in my account before joining this room. Glad to say I did, making up for some early mistakes this year. Happy to see that. Again, I seem to be the guy who does all the ETFs and the leverage ETFs. I've made a few classes on this, so if you guys are interested and curious about leveraged ETFs, since they are becoming very, very prominent and prolific, come over to simplertrading.com/Moxie. You can learn more about what I do, and you can even find the long-term and leverage ETF classes that I put out there. CZ was saying that the last class I did was a long-term trading class, well worth the price of admission. And then Spencer, appreciated, just some good words over there, so thank you so much. All right, let's dive into the market itself. Oh, and then here we go. This is the exit that I did today. Only take your profits because I think the market's going higher, but we took profits on IonQ. This was about a 3-day trade, and we made 203% in 3 days. So also a very, very fun one. So let's come over here and we'll talk about a few things. So we got, yeah, cool CPI. Let me actually get back over to the SPX. And what we can now confirm and we can now see, even though I was looking for the market to go down occasionally, you know, we did get the market to come down 1, 2, 3 times, and that was about it. The market just didn't want to go down, and now we can confirm and actually say this was a bull flag into basically the daily 50, and now the market's up. And look, we're barely halfway through September. This is supposed to be the weakest month out of the year. I do think a lot of people were positioned for that, and it's kind of like, well, when everybody's positioned for something, it doesn't happen. And so I think the market just decided to continue to move up, and it was right, well, CPI was right there. So we got a nice pop. You can see right here, we had a breakout and pop up on CPI. Everything was looking fantastic, and we have the Moxie price trigger right there. So I do think we are going to continue being bullish from here. Of course, there will be pullbacks along the way. I know we've got a lot of things out there that kind of indicate that there's some bearishness or weakness or whatever. Of course, there are going to be pullbacks along the way, but I think that the market is back on track for the upside. You can also look at the RSP. This is the equal weight of the S&P. And actually, let me come over here so we can get a little bit bigger view. And what I want to show you from here is this was the previous high, and you can see we are above the previous high. So far so good. And you can also see that we did have a pullback here, and then we had a bit of a flag right there. That is why the market, I mean, you look at the SPX, you look at the RSP, you know, it's just been kind of resting for a while, but I think we're starting to see things perk up a little bit. QQQ, we look at the NASDAQ, and you can see here we had just several weeks of the market kind of hanging out, not doing too much. I think that was really indicative of what was happening over August and, you know, halfway through September. But I think we are now getting back into trend. We have a fresh Moxie price trigger here. In fact, if you look closely at the hourly chart, there's our double bottom, there's our positive divergence, and we're finally getting follow through in through here. Okay, so really, really nice to see this. Of course, there will be pullbacks, expect them, but I do think that the trend continues to be up. Here's another interesting one, QQQE. If you look at this, this was another indication that the market just was in a bit of a malaise, is a kind of word I said. And you see here we had that really big move off of the tariff tantrum lows. We got a big kind of kerplunk right in through there. And I was talking about this over the last few weeks as examples that the market just isn't going anywhere. You can see here that the majority of the market wasn't doing anything. And we're still looking for follow through. But I think that right here, and you see this happened yesterday. So today is Friday, so yesterday, right there, I think that was the key and the trigger, because that is where price pulled into the hourly 50, and now we're moving up. And I think that you can see here we've broken out, and you can even see double bottom. Let me draw that better. Double bottom, positive divergence, Moxie price trigger here. We've got a squeeze here. I think the market's going back up. If the equal weight is starting to show strength, I think this is looking pretty good, guys. Okay, so I'm very, very happy about this. It has been a long 6 weeks, but congratulations to the Moxie Room for sticking through it and being patient with some of these things. And we're starting to see the fruits of our patience paying off like that. We can also look at IWM coming in through here. It just keeps grinding up, honestly. Pretty impressive. You know, a little bit of a pullback right there. It keeps grinding up. Not much else to say. Of course, there will be pullbacks at some point, but it just wants to keep going up. So cool. We can look at SMH, the semiconductors, and you can see here, look what it did. Here was its previous all-time high. It managed to get over it, yes, but more importantly, it stayed above it anytime it pulled back. There were numerous pullbacks and numerous drops, basically call them liquidation breaks. But they kept getting bought up and they didn't go down. Yes, we did get below the daily 50 a little bit, but I'm going to say this was basically a bull flag right into the daily 50, and it finally has confirmed and resolved up. We now have new highs on the SMH, and you can see here we have a fresh Moxie price trigger on the way up also. This is great to see. So Try not to chase too many things. It's been a big couple of days. Of course, we should be expecting some pullbacks. I think there will be more opportunities and entries for you. Just don't go chase things when they're not reasonable. Okay, you still need to remember how to trade out there. And here's FNGS. This is the FANG stock ETF. And again, you can see for weeks, they were just trending sideways. We really didn't have much to talk about, much to work with, you know, chop it around, just not much going on. But we finally got the double bottom here, positive divergence there. There's the Moxie price trigger, and you can see up here, the market has now broken out. And again, it's getting a little bit overbought, okay, you know, near term kind of getting overbought. So expect some pullbacks, backing and filling, normal ebbs and flows, something like that, maybe some flags. You know, don't go chasing these things, but yeah, we're looking pretty good in through here. And then you can look at ARKK. This is another situation where the market was just kind of in a range. I was looking at shorting at one point. That worked for a little bit, but then you can see every single time that the market came down, it just got bought back up. And then given enough time, I was able to recognize, it's like, oh, there's a bit of a trend line here, and there's a bit of a trend line here. This thing's independent. Okay, so we're basically in this little wedge pennant situation. And I said we're making higher lows, and we're kind of coming into the wedge. Things are looking pretty good. And what you can also see is the Moxie indicator continued to trend upward. Look right there. There's your Moxie price trigger firing right on time. And again, if you guys do not have the Moxie indicator, or you're wondering what the Moxie indicator is or how this thing can work, the Moxie indicator is a momentum-based tool that I designed. It's a proprietary indicator. It is my #1 tool. And if you guys are interested, come over to simplertrading.com/Moxie. You can pick it up and you can start working with it. And I'm telling you, you get, there's your in, there's your out. That's pretty good. And you miss all of this in the middle if you just pay attention to the Moxie indicator. It works very, very well. Anyway, now ARKK is breaking out past, you know, it just bounced off the daily 50. Moxie indicator still above 0. We got a squeeze. It's looking good, guys. Yeah, ARKK, even that one's looking pretty good. And then breadth. Let me show you breadth as we come in here. This one's been a little messy too. You know, we've been looking around for this a while. And in fact, I was talking to my subscribers the other day, and we were seeing here that breadth was coming down even though the market was going up. I was like, this is looking a little sketchy. I don't know what's going to happen. But then, you know, we got CPI and things were looking pretty good. And now we've got it to come back up again. I don't know if it's perfect. It's a little bit, you know, we just kind of sideways. Maybe sideways is good. Because remember, if we get over here, if we get over 80%, that usually means things are too frothy and we're going to get a pullback. So as long as you are in the right stocks, so basically a stock picker's market, as long as the market or breadth doesn't get too crazy to the upside, this could actually sustain. And nice moves in the middle here are good. When we get moves like this, that's not great because then everything's overbought and we really will get a pretty sizable pullback at some point. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here. We might actually be in a pretty good sweet spot for breadth. Okay, let's talk about some of the bigger plays that we've had. Here is IonQ. Now, I heard that IonQ had some news from the UK and they got some permission or stamp of approval or something like that. That's also why this thing's going up. But before that happened, you can see here's the trend line right there, and you can see it broke out. We got it right past the breakout. Fantastic. And once again, there's the Moxie price trigger, and this is what I call a trampoline move. Once again, if you guys do not have the Moxie indicator, this is the benefit of having it because you can see these kind of setups. There's the Moxie price trigger, which meant the pullback here below the hourly 50 while the Moxie indicator was up, and a squeeze told us that that was a trampoline move setup, and once it broke that trend, game on. So we made 203% just like 3 days right there on IonQ. So that one's looking absolutely fantastic. RGTI is in the same space as far as the quantum computing stuff. It's doing great. I have some people in the Moxie room that are also trading RGTI. So I said, hey, I think this is going to be a good entry. You can see the Moxie price trigger, and it too also popped and broke out as it was coming into the daily 50. So that one's looking good. And Tesla, yeah, finally getting some Tesla action. I know that a bunch of our professional traders in the simpler trading room were all over this. Okay, I think almost all of us took trades on Tesla, so we were all seeing this. It was looking really great, and basically my whole situation was that if you look back in through here, I was saying that everything and the kitchen sink was being thrown at Tesla, and it didn't go down. So once Tesla finally got over the daily 50 and actually started to test and hold the daily 50 with the Moxie indicator above zero, so game on, guys. So we started loading up. We're in some calls. We're in leverage ETFs. We are good to go on this thing. And as I said, what was that? We were up 100 and something percent. So yeah, we're doing great on that one. And I think 40 plus 40% on TSLL. So however way you want to slice it, this thing's doing great. Huge volume breakout. I don't know where it's going to go, but I know it's going up, and I'm pretty happy about that. So this should hopefully be a pretty good long-term move and position on this, because boy, you know, Tesla's been sideways for a long time. Remember the old adage, the longer the base, the bigger the breakout. So I'm pretty happy about these things. RCAT, holy moly, what an experience on this one, guys. I tell you, sometimes trading stocks is a little bit like a soap opera. You know, I've been watching RCAT for a long time. We traded it a little bit. You know, I got stopped out of it at one point, and then it popped up like that. We jumped back into it, and I said, I don't want to get out of this thing. I only want to add to it. It came all the way back, and then I thought it was going to go here, so we added more. Then it pulled back more, and then it went up, and then it pulled back. I'm like, what is going on with this thing? It's crazy. Why won't this thing just go? And part of the problem was it just wasn't going to go because it was August mostly, and then September, and it just wasn't the right environment for this thing to go up. And then, lo and behold, it got some news. Now, those of you in the Moxie room, you guys know when I was on the mic like 2 days ago, and the market was going up and breaking out and all this kind of good stuff, and UMAC and ONDS, other drone stocks, were doing really, really well, and this thing just kept lounging around, not doing much. I'm like, am I gonna have to get out of this thing? Because did I pick the runt of the litter for this one, or the slow animal? Like, what did I do? And the very next day, the news came out that they got the green light to sell their products to NATO through some government catalog thing, and this thing absolutely jumped up. Huge. Look at the volume that came into this thing. So massive, massive play. This thing hasn't even begun, and we have been loading up positions here and here and here, so we're ready to go on this thing. We're ready to go. This is going to be another one of the big movers out there for you. So remember, if you guys are interested, if you feel like you're getting some FOMO, which is real, it's true, you guys are missing out. If you guys are not in the Moxie room, you got to come over to simplertrading.com/Moxie. Come join the room, okay? Come join the room. You guys are going to have a good time in here, I promise. Okay, so there's RCAT looking absolutely fantastic. And then if we look at Grab, this is another one that we have been waiting for patiently for a very long time. And I kept telling everybody, we bought a position here, we bought a position here, we bought another position there, and then I just sat on it. I said, okay, guys, I'm loaded up, I'm ready to go. I just need to let this thing cook and see when it's going to go. There was a beautiful flag on the higher time frames, and look what's happening. We get a big volume node, and this thing's breaking out. How can you ignore this? In fact, it is actually making, I can't say new all-time highs because it IPO'd here. Let's just say new highs. Fantastic. You absolutely cannot ignore this, and we've been in it just waiting for this thing to pop up. And here's the other thing I want to show you. You want to talk about timing. This was on 9/9, and I said Grab might be ready to go on the next market run. And of course, now we're getting that next market run, and now you can see that this is popping up looking absolutely fantastic. So today's the 12th. I posted that on the 9th. So even if, I didn't add more because I'm loaded up, but anybody who is new to the Moxie room and they're like, hey, I need to get some new trades, like what can you put me in? And I put something out like this, yeah, maybe that's your sign to take more, okay? So that's looking fantastic. I keep saying fantastic, don't I? All right, let's look at UNH and RR. If we're looking around UNH. Now, honestly, UNH is not a typical play that I work with, but there's enough talk about it. There's kind of stuff going on with it, all that kind of stuff, fine. And then what really pushed me over the edge were two things. Number one, just the technicals, the chart, it actually reversed. I don't want to get in here. That's too early. Things didn't set up. If you guys follow me as how I trade, I can teach you that is not the right entry. This is the right entry. Just from looking at it, that's the right entry. And then the other situation is, of course, the reason it popped up is because Warren Buffett and a bunch of other big players and funds and stuff got into this. I was like, okay, fine. If they're in, obviously this thing is going to be doing fine and going back up. I think it's going to be a slower vehicle, so I didn't want to commit a ton of capital to it. And so what we did is we bought a Leap call debit spread, or you could just buy a regular call Leap, something like that, and we bought it right there. Great spot. And now this thing is jumping up like this. So, you know, again, pretty easy, smooth way of trading something like that. We're up 50%. I think that if you just bought the call, we're up 75%. And I don't have to put too much capital in, and I'm up 75%. Fantastic. Okay, and then if we look at RR, this is another one. I think this thing has a big future ahead of it. And I think it too is also getting into the manufacturing space. I think it is getting accepted by some large manufacturers. Obviously huge volume, the volume continues, and we had a sweet pullback right into the daily 21, daily, hourly 50, all that kind of stuff. I've been telling people add more to it if you want to, but we had our first initial trade right there, and then either you were aggressive and you added on that dip, or you got confirmation and you added it there. Then you can see here, we did have a max of 60%, you know, like matched 60% there, but we're back up to about 36%. That's okay. I'm very, very happy about this thing. It's kind of like RCAT, you know, jumped up, came back down, and then goes. So it's great out there, guys. We're having a fun time. Remember, come join the room. If you guys are having troubles out there, if you feel like you're not doing it, come join the room, because let's see, where can I, let's see. Oh, that's a fun one. I was making fun of Sam. We've definitely nailed RCAT. So, but yeah, if we look, one of these things, pictures, I got stuff all over the place. I don't know where it was, but you guys can see we've had a really, really great day as far as all of our trades. There it is. Just look at that thing. Look at those. It's been a good week. I don't know about you, but if you can tell, I'm very excited. Been a great week, and I'm very happy to see that this market is finally coming out of its slumber, and hopefully this helps set us up for a nice run into the year. Of course, it may not be perfect. Of course, there will be ups and downs and all sorts of stuff, but hey, great time. Okay? Thanks again, everyone. You guys take care, and we'll see you next week.